move on to our next story. And Nicholas, I know you're particularly looking forward to the Armor Wars project, probably more than most human beings on the planet. And we actually have an update for Armor Wars, at least according to Daniel RPK, who's a very famous scooper in this space, who's right, I'd say, most of the time. I consider him at least accurate enough to report when he says something. And this is a fun thing coming from him. The film is currently on hold, however, it is not canceled. It will likely release after Secret Wars, and the story is now going to be completely different due to the Secret Invasion backlash. Now, I, of course, have a lot to say about Secret Invasion and about this particular thing, but Nick, I feel that this character belongs to you and how much you love this character. So I'm going to give you the floor here. What are your thoughts on just the whole journey of when Armor Wars was first announced as it was supposed to be a series to now? What are your thoughts and feelings when you hear news like this?
It doesn't give me hope that it's going to come out. You know, we've seen Blade going through its trials and directors leaving, writers leaving. Mahershala Ali is somehow still attached, but it really does have this sort of feel of, oh, this is never going to happen. And that really feels like Armor Wars to me. I think that when it was announced as a series, I think it was coming at a very timely place in the Marvel universe, especially like coming off WandaVision, right? A lot of rumor was that it was going to really follow kind of Vision leaving WandaVision and that tech being on the loose, which is an interesting concept. It's also something we saw, Happy being put on trial for in Spider-Man No Way Home for all this loose Stark tech that's just running amok. How did Quentin Beck get access to it? How did Vulture get access to it? And I think it was coming at that point, but Secret Invasion really shit the bed. It was not a good adaptation of the storyline. It was just not a good series, in my opinion, at all. And I'm someone who's an easy sell. You put a scroll in a project and you put War Machine in a project, I'm going to like it. And they said, here's both. And I was on board. I gave it the benefit of the doubt, and it was a disappointment, especially with the whole sort of reveal as it relates to Rhodey being a scroll. We don't really know at what point that switch occurred, if it was just for the show or going back to Civil War. That's kind of what it seemed like to me, was post Civil War, which then to me just sort of defeats the War Machine character. That moment at the end in Endgame when Tony's dying and War Machine goes to console him, that's sort of meaningless. War Machine being at Tony's funeral, that's sort of meaningless to a point where I don't think War Machine necessarily is a big enough character to you don't want to take away those emotional elements. I don't think there's interest in a story where War Machine's been asleep and finds out Tony's dead from, I don't know, agent number 3 or whatever, whoever the person is. It's a series I was actively excited for, which then turned into a movie I was actively excited for, in this hope of this period where Marvel was really looking to make sure each project fits the mold that they want it to. And we're going to take the time and money to flesh out this story. But we haven't seen War Machine in a project since Secret Invasion. I would like to see him show up more, because I feel like if a War Machine Armor Wars series comes out without a lot of context within the Marvel universe, because we don't really even know where Marvel's heading, I just don't see where it fits in at this point. That was kind of a long
Listen,
tangent. I apologize.
no, don't apologize. All fair criticism. Here's what I will say, and it echoes a lot of the same sentiment as you. You'd mentioned that Secret Wars Secret Invasion kind of shit the bed.
Yeah.
I think that's the understatement of the year. I think that Secret Invasion, and anyone who watches a channel, watches us, knows, I do not like to be actively, like, discouraging or hate on things. Like, of course I criticize things, I give my thoughts, I say if something works for me, doesn't work for me. Secret Invasion is one of the worst studio produced things I've ever watched. It's awful. It's awful. It's almost as bad as the Inhuman show that old Marvel Television did. And that was absolute trash. And I watched every episode, so I can say that it was trash. But, so it doesn't surprise me that if this story was going to be tied to Secret Invasion, that they are reworking it. I'm glad that they're doing that and not just continuing something that they know was a big failure. It makes sense that it's coming after Secret Wars, considering, like you said, we don't really know where it's headed right now. And they obviously want this story to be held on for later. But here's also what I need to say. They better, right away, even before we get to Armor Wars, just whenever we see Rhodey again, they better let us know that Rhodey has not been a Skrull since Civil War. Like, I know that that was the implication. Do not go with that. Do not go with that. It's so uninteresting, and I feel like an easy retcon for them would be to say that he had been in there for a few months, and so his injury kind of started to come back because he was still for so long. I think it's an easy way to get out of that. Easy way to get out of that.
It is.
Do
I
not,
hope they do it.
do not do it that he was there since Civil War. That would upset me so badly.
I mean,
So
I know
badly.
this
But-
isn't everyone's favorite character, but he's one of mine, and it's what I
Yeah.
feel passionate that I just want him treated right.
And listen, I get that.
He's an Avenger. He deserves the Avenger treatment.
100%. I get that. Boom, you looking for this? But I think that putting the film on hold for after Secret Wars is a good idea for now, and I hope that they can end up telling a really great story and have it be a great film. I hope that that's what occurs. I hope that that's what occurs. But guys, what do you think about Armor Wars being put on hold and this update with it, and that it's no longer going to be connected to Secret Invasion?